So, this is going to be a rant, but it's going to be an incredibly logical rant, and this video is made for Nikon. And I know for a fact because I've been told by a couple, actually I've been told by 3 Nikon reps that Nikon watches my videos. And here's a huge goddamn mistake Nikon is making. Okay? Nikon has multiple glass factories in multiple countries. Nikon, above everybody else, has the ability to churn out glass. Yes, there's no way that Canon or anybody else, for example, could spit out that $1,300, which is unbelievably cheap, 200 to 500 millimeter Nikkor. I mean, that's just absurdly cheap. There is Nikon's ultra-wide lenses blow everybody's ass right off their backsides. The 20 millimeters, the 20 Zeiss. I love the hell out of Zeiss lenses. Got a lot of Zeiss glass. Zeiss's ultra-wide lenses absolutely suck fanny to heaven and back. Nikon beats everybody in ultra-wides. Everybody. What is Nikon missing out on? And the reason they're missing out on it is because they're afraid of all these measure-baiting, button-sniffing assholes, the people that hang out on the photography forums, like Diaper Review. These people are technocrats. They have no fucking idea that photography is a fucking goddamn art form. These people, only thing they care about is chromatic aberration, distortion, and vignetting. They are the dumbest sons of bitches. Close your ears if you don't want to hear this. Don't listen to this video if you're a wilting pansy, okay? These people are the dumbest sons of bitches on planet Earth. I had to cuss in this video because they are. These people, if Nikon spit out like a true art lens with chromatic aberration, like some of Zeiss's best lenses, absolutely the best, have a significant amount of chromatic aberration, especially wide open. I mean, I have those lenses. Some of the very best art lenses, and I mean real art lenses, not that garbage that Sigma puts out that they stick art on. Art to Sigma art lens. When they slap that, oh my god, it blows my mind that anybody buys that crap. It's got 1,000 elements in each lens. They're constantly out of focus. It's overpriced. Anybody that'll buy that garbage as opposed to a Zeiss lens is an idiot. I'm sorry if you own Sigma lenses. I own one Sigma lens that I got really cheap. What Nikon's missing out on, like, let's take the Voigtlander 58mm for example. It's actually based on an older design by Topcon. I recommended that lens that I have sold, not meaning sold directly, endless thousands of numbers of those Voigtlander lenses. Voigtlander, Casino Voigtlander, you could say they're kind of huge, but I mean compared to Nikon, they're pipsqueak nothing. That lens has a little bit of vignetting. It also makes incredible bokeh, the most beautiful rendered images you could imagine. Nikon, are you listening to what Meyer Optic Görlitz is doing right now? They are churning out these bubble bokeh monster lenses. Are you listening? This is the important part of this message for Nikon. Meyer Optic Görlitz, which of course, you know, is a really old company but has been sold many times, they announced the Triotar and some of the revisions of these really old lens designs. Triplets, they only have 3 lens elements. Some of them are 4, some of them are 5. Some of these really, they have vignetting, they have chromatic aberration, they have some other distortions, but they make the most gorgeous bokeh and the most interesting images that and they sell the shit out of them, and they ask a lot of money for them. I'm absolutely certain that Nikon could come up with a plastic version of this lens. Nikon still makes manual focus lenses, by the way. They do. Not many, but Nikon still makes manual focus lenses, AIS lenses. Nikon could copy these old designs and make them a lot cheaper than Meyer Optic Görlitz could. Nikon would have to put a disclaimer out there for all the button-sniffing, measure-baiting, knuckle-dragging, pseudo-intellectual technocrats. These brain-dead assholes that have they think photography is some sort of technical device, like a landscape calibration machine for measuring distances or calculating elevation. No, it's a goddamn tool for making art. These people think that it doesn't matter what the image produces, if it has chromatic aberration or distortion or vignetting, it's just a shit lens. These people are brain dead. The people that actually know what the fuck is going on, that know that photography is an art form, they are beating down Meyer Optic Görlitz's door at absolutely astronomically high prices for these damn lenses. These lenses only have 3 fucking elements in them. Nikon can make those so much cheaper and faster. Nikon would have to actually put up an advertising campaign to educate the stupid people that's saying, everything in lens design, folks, is a trade-off. Here at Nikon, we want to fulfill the needs of people that have, different requirements. They're interested in interesting bokeh and interesting rendering. Because all of photography is a goddamn lie. There's no such thing as truth in photography. No such thing at all. If you think photography is about truth, then you're an idiot. Of course, Nikon would never say that. All lens design is a trade-off. Here at Nikon, we know that there is an extremely high demand for some of these simplex older lenses. They do have some distortion and some vignetting, but it is the character and nature of the lens. There is a significant demand for this type of lens, as opposed to our very technical lenses, which are highly corrected, overcorrected usually, like the 105 f1.4, a total abortion of a lens. The 105 f2 DC Nikkor, amazing lens. Very simplex design, all metal, made in Japan, very few lens elements, makes the absolute best image. Micro contrast, depth, saturation, beautiful. Nikon could be making a dozen or so of these the Genetessar, the Triotar. Does Nikon even realize the goddamn fact of why people are buying these cheap-ass Russian-made Helios lenses? Does Nikon even realize why the fuck people are buying those lenses? This is some cheap shit. And I lived in Russia too, by the way, Nikon, for a year. Why do you think people are buying that cheap Russian crap? Because it's the image. It's got distortion, There's usually some metal flakes floating around in the lens. But I really want one of those lenses. Why do you want something with distortion like that, Bob? You think you'd want a technical lens from Nikon. Because it's the image. It's the goddamn image, ultimately. I don't care if it's got chromatic. I don't care if it's got some distortion. I care about the image. That is why Nikon, hey Nikon, that is why people are buying the crap out of that. Anytime I see a Helios lens on eBay, and there's a lot of Helios lenses out there. Yeah, as soon as it pops up on eBay, click, buy it now. Someone's already bought it. Absolutely unbelievable. Nikon could be churning out a dozen of these professional true art lenses, because I hate to use the word art, because as soon as you say art, you start talking about that awful crap made by Sigma, that abysmal abortion of a group of overpriced junk. Worst piece of trash, constantly never focuses correctly, falls apart, absolute junk. Priced higher than a damn Zeiss lens, which is all metal and made in Japan. It's like, who the hell would buy that? Oh, Jesus. Everything's about advertising, obviously. That is why you see Sigma ads everywhere. If you bomb enough people's brains with advertising, you can get them to buy anything. Why, Nikon, why aren't you making this stuff? Actually, I know why Nikon's not making it, because as soon as they made a lens like this, people, the stupid people, the people that don't know that photography is a goddamn art form, they would say, Nikon has officially lost their effing mind. They have come out with this 3-element lens with distortion and yada yada yada. What the hell? This is the year 2017. F you, Nikon. What? And to those people you respond, we made this lens because there's an incredible demand for it, and this is what people want. When the Kickstarter campaign rolled out for the Triotar, I believe, it was instantly, overnight, it was sold out. Everybody just threw all their money towards Meyer Optic Görlitz. Nikon could have jumped on that shit. They still can, actually, and they will smoke. If they jumped on it, they would smoke Meyer Optic Görlitz, because they can make it with a polycarbonate body. It's only got 3 elements. They can make it a manual focus lens. Doesn't need to be autofocus. You don't need autofocus on a lens like that. You're not shooting sports action wildlife with a damn lens like that. Nikon still makes manual focus lenses for a reason. Voigtlander lenses are manual focus. So are Zeiss. Who gives a shit? It's the best effing glass out there. Except for ultra-wides. Nikon owns ultra-wide lenses. So who cares? Forget about autofocus. There is a huge market for that, and Nikon is missing out on it. This isn't my opinion, it's a hardcore fact. Those expensive lenses with distortion, chromatic aberration from Voigtlander and Meyer Optic Görlitz, and those old lenses on eBay, people so desperately want those old goddamn lenses that they're buying them, sitting there with their headlamp. And this is what, because, the lenses are 80-some fucking years old. They're sitting there getting the lenses shipped to them by eBay. You see, Nikon, this is where you're missing out. Watch the fuck up. They're sitting there, sticking a lamp on their head. They're dissecting lenses like a surgeon in the operating room, to get the haze out. Taking them apart, getting the haze out of the lens, crap, fuzz bunny, because the lenses are older than my dead grandfather. Why the hell do you think people are doing that, Nikon? Why would they want to fix an old 80-year-old piece of shit like that? This is because you don't make the damn lens. Nobody makes it anymore. And is there any... So we can't do shit in 2017 that they were doing 80 years ago? Yes, we can. We wouldn't make it out of metal anymore. To save for that's fine. Make it out of plastic. Who gives a damn? It's about the image. I don't mind if it's a plastic lens. Make it out of plastic. Nikon, you're missing the boat. But Nikon's doing this for a reason, because they'd be scared to death of the press that they would get from all the... See, photography has been overrun by button sniffers. People that don't know what the fuck art is. They don't. They're button stiffers. They're measure baiters. They got a slide rule for everything. I'm going to look at the MTF chart. Oh my god, it's got distortion and chromatic aberration. This isn't a good lens. There are two different types of people out there when it comes to lenses. There are people like me that know what the F is going on, and then there's the measure baiters. That's why to the measure baiters... They think like that new 105 f1.4 lens from Nikon is awesome. It's really sharp. It sure is. It is a sharp lens. It's got really good resolution. However, it renders horribly. It is absolutely an abysmal lens. Abysmal. Abysmal lens. Doesn't even hold a candle to the 105 f2 DC Nikkor. Doesn't hold a damn candle to it. I'm all about advancements in lens technology. The lens I praised highest last year was probably the new 70 to 200 2.8 Nikkor. An insanely expensive lens, which I happen to own. $2,800. Very fast autofocus, fluorite third element. Very lightweight, very fast, very close focusing. I have nothing against technology, nor improvements in optical design. But Nikon, there's a reason people are buying 70-year-old lenses and taking them apart and cleaning them and getting the haze and fungus out of them, is because you don't make that shit that people want. Nikon makes a lot of glass that people do want. They have the ability to make some simple, non-CPU'd, or they can make them CPU'd, like an AIP lens, which this isn't an AIP Voigtlander, excuse me. Like the Voigtlander 58, which is an AIP lens, which means it's a manual focus lens with CPU contacts on it. Nikon can make that lens. Why the hell aren't you doing it? There's only one reason out there, and that Nikon is afraid of all these measure baiters that don't know what the hell photography even is. They don't even know what photography is. They don't know what photography is, and it is that goddamn simple. They don't know what photography is. I had to say that 3 times because it's that important. You're missing the boat, Nikon. Now you need to ask yourself the question why the pissant little tiny company, Meyer Optic Görlitz, immediately sold the hell out of those Triotars and the other, they're even calling the lens the bubble bokeh monster. People want that shit. You don't offer it. You've got glass factories in multiple countries. You saying that Meyer Optic Görlitz can do something that you can't? What the hell is going on with you? If you want them to have the business, their lenses are really overpriced. I mean, they're very well made. Yes, they're made in Germany. It's very nice. We all appreciate overpriced German stuff. BMW. Make that stuff in China if you want, Nikon. How long would it take Nikon to backwards engineer an 80-year-old lens with 3 effing elements? We're going to stick a plastic polycarbonate body around it. It's going to be manual focus. The lens goes here. It's the primary, the secondary, and there's the frontal. Engineering that lens would be like the lowest budget in the past 30 years for Nikon. Nikon has a budget where they have to engineer and design lenses. All they'd have to do is backwards engineer an 80-year-old lens with 3 friggin' elements in it. It doesn't even have to have any autofocus stuff in. All it needs is a helicoil. Yeah. And Nikon would have to come up with an advertising thing to explain those. Like, this lens has some characteristics like vignetting and whatnot, but it has special characteristics of bokeh and rendering that people desperately want. So us at Nikon decided we wanted to be, representing the various spectrum of the photographic community and make this sort of lens. Even though it is manual focus and it has distortion and it has vignetting, us at Nikon realized that there is a desire for this sort of lens for many valid existential reasons, because of how it beautifully renders sometimes simplicity as divinity, and we know that people want this type of lens. That is why we have re-engineered it and brought it back to life. It would be the lowest budget lens design Nikon's ever made in 30 years, and they would sell the piss out of them. And I'd be the first person to tell everybody to go buy one. Did you hear that, Nikon? Yeah.